Good morning, friends, and welcome to my channel. I am Crystal, and this is Homemaking on the Homestead. And today, what I usually do on Fridays is my little coffee with Crystal. So I like to call it my chatty kitchen table talk. And I talk about all kinds of things, homemaking related and, spiritual growth related, life at home related, anything that is of interest to the home-minded women. That is what I like to chat about on Friday mornings. So anyway, and I have several things to talk to you guys about, and I'm really excited to get started. So grab your cup of coffee and let's chat. One of the things that was really overdue for me was getting my aprons washed. They were all looking kind of grubby, and so I threw them in the wash, and of course then I have to iron them. Mostly the biggest thing that needs to be ironed is the straps, and I've figured out a method that I don't have to pull the whole long strap out. I just kind of push the apron to about the halfway point and do the one half, then push the apron back and do the other half, and then straighten it out, and that works pretty easily and quickly. But there is just something that feels so good about putting on a nice, clean, freshly ironed apron. It's one of my favorite feelings. And in case you're new to my channel, I have the pattern and instructions on a two-part video that I can link in the description box below. The pattern, you make it yourself, so everything is free, and I show you how to make this cute little apron. And so many of you have done that and have sent me your pictures, and I just really appreciate that too when I see that. But if you're a beginner sewer, this is perfect. I made this pattern to be easy and simple for somebody who doesn't have a lot of sewing experience. Check it out if you would like a new apron this fall or would like to give them as gifts. That's even better. I've had a lot of people tell me that they've sewn them for their grandchildren or for friends and things like that. Oh, and I also have the same pattern style for children, and I have it in 3 different sizes for just the little ones all the way up to like the young teenagers. And so I will leave that link too. So make sure you check that out if you're a sewer and would like to have a few aprons for you or anybody else in your life. So as you guys know, there was no video on Tuesday, and the reason for that is we were just getting back from a family reunion in California, and so I just couldn't get it all together ahead of time to be able to have a Tuesday video ready for you. It was such a nice family reunion. My daughter offered to host it, and it made it easier for some of the kids to get there. Of the 8 children that we have that are all now grown adults, 5 altogether were there. It is really hard to get 8 people with busy lives and families and things going on all in one place at the same time. So it wasn't going to work. So, usually what we decide to do is we will plan it every year, and those that can make it, and those that can't, we understand, and we just do it anyway. And, we keep hoping. The last time I had all 8 of them here at my homestead was in 2010. So it has been, a while, but that's just the way it goes. I have kids in 4 or 5 different states, so it takes a lot to coordinate to get everybody together at one time. But we had a great time. So of course, one of the first things I always ask you guys, hey, what's for dinner? What are you serving for dinner tonight? Let's share that in the comments, please. I love the fact that you guys do. You share so many great meals that you're making. I just wanted it to kind of be like an inspirational spot for other ladies that may come and see this video at a later time, to be able to look through and see what people are eating. Please do share what's on your menu tonight and what do you have going on in your kitchen today. So for me, just because we just got back, the other day, I still have catching up on laundry, catching up on things that were neglected, still trying to work on my house. And so on our way home, we ran into Costco, and I grabbed a rotisserie chicken and a couple other things that we ate on yesterday. But today I am doing the roasted chicken I think some baked potatoes or roasted potatoes, because I have some potatoes that really need to be used up, and probably a salad. So super duper simple. One of the best bargains around, I think, in my mind, is a Costco chicken. I mean, you get a fully cooked chicken for $5. You cannot beat that, and I can't even buy one raw for $5. So, although sometimes I will, just because I have other desires for it and other uses, but when I want something convenient, it's really nice to be able to have a Costco chicken. Now, I kind of go in and lift up the packages as I'm picking out my chicken to find the one that weighs the most, because I want a nice heavy chicken that I know has a lot of meat on it. And then when I bring it home, usually the first night, like tonight, it's going to be roasted chicken. After that, I try to stretch it out as far as I can get it. So I am planning to do a chicken soup with it tomorrow night. And the third night, what did I write down? Oh, the third night I'm going to plan to do chicken tacos. And that's pretty common too, is I'll either do chicken enchiladas or chicken tacos with it the third night. But there are so many ways that I have used it. In fact, I have videos on, using my rotisserie chicken and how many meals can I get out of it. And then the last thing that I do with it is I take, after all the meat's off, I take the bones and I throw those into my Instant Pot and make chicken broth. So it's humorous to me just because being in this empty nest stage of life. But, when I used to do rotisserie chickens for my family when they were, definitely as my kids were getting into their teenagers and getting older and things, I would usually have to buy 2 chickens. And out of that, I would get at least 1 chicken meal and then maybe some soup that I would use the bones and whatever meat I had left over, and then maybe we'd have another soup. Sometimes, if not, I'd have to add sandwiches or something like that with it, just so it would stretch far enough. Now that it's my husband and I, every time I buy a rotisserie chicken, I'm looking at a commitment of several days of chicken meals, or, having to use it. I can obviously freeze things. But still, when you figure how far you can stretch a $5 chicken and how many meals you can get out of it, it's pretty phenomenal. Anyway, if you are a fan of stretching those chickens, whether they're Costco chickens or your own homemade chicken, roasted chicken, and you like to stretch those out to get as many meals as possible, what are some of the things that you like to make with that? I'd be interested to know that, so leave that in the comments. The chicken soup that I mentioned that I'm going to make, I'm getting it out of this cookbook, which I have reviewed in a previous Coffee with Crystal. It's called Keeping Good Company by Roxy Kelly and Friends, it says. And this one is kind of seasonal based, and this particular chicken recipe was actually under the spring meals, but I find it fine. So it is a Tex-Mex chicken soup. So that's what I'm planning on making. She also has kind of an interesting cornbread recipe. If you like your cornbread one way, you might not like this one because it seems like it's going to be maybe a little bit on the sweet side, but it looked really interesting to me, so I'm going to try that too. Anyway, so that will be dinner tomorrow night, and I'm pretty sure that pot of soup and the cornbread will probably feed us 2 nights. And of course, the reason that soup is sounding so good is that we left California, mid-80s, beautiful warm summer days, and arrived home to 57 degrees and raining. So, it was quite the contrast. And right now we have a lot of clouds in the sky. There was a little bit of sun that was shining through not long ago, but that kind of went away again. Yesterday, I think it rained all day long, but, I'm okay with that. And there's definitely the crisp fall feel in the air, so I'm like, yay, soups. Now, I'll eat soups any time of the year, quite honestly, but there's just something cozy about fall time and soups. So I'm going to try that one, and who knows, I've got a couple other cookbooks on my shelf that I'm going to kind of search around and see if I can find any kind of interesting soups. And who knows, maybe I'll try that and share that with you guys too. The last thing here that I wanted to share with you guys, I'm going to share this scripture verse first, and then I'm going to show you how I got here and just a couple things I wanted to share with that. It's from Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. There's other translations that says, being faithful, that talks about being faithful in the little things. That is kind of where I wanted to go with this verse, is being faithful in the little things. So last time we had a coffee with Crystal last week, I talked about that I had just started this book, Stepping Heavenward. So I have to say I'm really enjoying it. It's a very interesting book, set back in the late 1800s. It's one woman's diary, and I believe it goes through her a whole entire life. And so you see the things she struggles with. It starts when she's 16 years old and continues on as she strives to, battle her flesh and her desires of things of this world versus, a relationship with God. And what's been really interesting and growing with the Lord, from going from 16 to 20, which is where I'm at, I can see so much that says, yes, I was like that when I was young. I saw it in my own children. In one of the last entries from her diary, she talked about struggling, wanting more. As she's starting to grow closer to the Lord, she just wants more and more. And, she's teaching a group of young children right now in their church. And so she just, she wants more responsibility and more, so that she can grow closer to the Lord. Okay, my light started flashing on me, and I'm like, oh, because I didn't have it plugged in, and I couldn't find an extension cord, and I'm like, I'm still trying to get settled. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to move. And so my camera is plugged in right now, and so we're good. Anyway, so in her quest to grow in the Lord, she went to her pastor's wife, and her pastor's wife, said to her some pretty easy, basic things. She said, what are your responsibilities at home? And she listed the things that her mother had required of her to do. And she said, are you doing them? And she said, well, no. And then what happens if you don't do them? Well, my mother goes in and does them. And she said, the first thing that I want you to do to grow in your relationship with the Lord is be faithful in the little things. And using the verse from Luke 16:10. And to go in and begin to do the things that your mother has asked you to do, those small things. And she's like, well, how is this going to cause me to grow in the Lord? And she said, just trust me on this. This is how it works. I think it's easy sometimes as homemakers to kind of get caught up in the, in the mundane and the, just the boredom of the things that we do each day. And we don't really always look at the little things in our life that make our house a home, and how that is our primary ministry. We see that in Titus 2:5, that the home is the primary ministry. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't work outside the home. That doesn't mean that you can't have ministry type activities going on outside your home. Nothing like that. All it is a priority, and your first priority being your home. One thing I remember back when I had a lot of little children at home is a good friend of mine and me wanted to begin a homeschool group, because at that time there weren't a lot of them and there wasn't a lot of resources available. So we started a homeschool group, and we would meet, once a month, and we would also set up activities, park days, field trips, etc. And I got very involved in that. And what I found is that all of a sudden, the things in my home were starting to kind of fall apart. I wasn't keeping up on the laundry like I should. I didn't have the meals planned like I needed to. My house was getting dirty, and it was going longer in between cleanings and things that needed to be taken care of. I wasn't caring for my home. I had become so absorbed in the things that were enjoyable to me, that were helpful to me. It was a good thing. I was homeschooling 2 of my children at that point, and a homeschool group seemed like a good thing to put my time into. And it was, except for the fact that my home ended up being neglected, because at that time in my life, I could not manage a home, homeschool, and I think I had 5 kids at that point, or take care of my 5 kids, and my home still be in order. basically I had allowed my home to become last priority. That was a good time for me to be able to set some priorities. So what do I take on? What are things I can do? Where do I draw the line, and how do I determine that? And what I discovered from all of that is that the actual best way for me to make that determination was, how will my home suffer and how will my family suffer? If there's no problem, then I'll take it on, you know. And during those times, I didn't teach Sunday school. I didn't do anything like that. I've done a lot of that over the years. But if I was called and asked, hey, you know, so-and-so is sick on Sunday, can you take over? Yes. Well, teaching one Sunday school class as a substitute was something I could totally handle, and I knew my home would not suffer because of it. So I really had to utilize those keys in how to, keep my home as my number one priority. And that, I believe, is being faithful in the little things. And he was given, a little will be given more. He was given much, will be given more. I believe over time the Lord increases not only our abilities but our opportunities as we take care of our home first, and we take care of the small things first, and then allows the opportunity, the time, and the ability to branch beyond that when it is the right time. When we are not carrying the weight that a lot of people might carry if they have families or just at other times in your life. Anyway, I'm rambling. Be faithful in the little things, ladies, because that is what it's all about. Okay, ladies, I think that probably wraps it up. It's time for me to go put a little more coffee in here and move on with my day. I'm still working to get my house together, so I've got a whole list of things that I'm trying to get done today. So I hope you all have an awesome and blessed day, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.